this lady out of nowhere just goes, "You're about to quit, aren't you?" And I was like, yeah.
There's always moments that you want to give up. Being 100, it's easier to quit. But then I remind myself, if I quit, then what?
God calls the unqualified, and what God has for you is for you. There's literally nothing that can take you away from it.
My name is Keila Hamilton. I am a writer, actress, performer. So I grew up in South Central LA. That's where I was born and raised. And I didn't come from like an entertainment family. I grew up in a very dysfunctional environment. My parents were really strict because, we were from the hood and our family was a little rough around the edges, and my parents didn't really want me to experience that side of the family, but I still did. It was kind of a struggle to really discover who I was, my voice and just who I wanted to be, because I was so sheltered. And so I had to kind of rebel a little bit to really understand the world and my place in it. And in addition to that, I was in the hood and people around me were in gangs or dying, and you just wanted to survive. And for me, I always felt like I was different. I knew I was destined for more, and I knew that I wasn't gonna be a statistic. That's something that I kind of held on to. I knew for sure at a very young age, I was going to be in entertainment. I actually wanted to sing first, but I didn't have the Whitney Houston vocal, so I was like, okay, maybe this is not my journey right now. So I was like, let me just focus on acting. So I fell in love with acting. I would do school plays. I would perform with my family. So that was something that God showed me very early on that was something that I was gonna do. I just didn't know how it was going to look. I just kind of wanted to get out of LA. I wanted to get out of South Central, wanted to get out of that environment and just find independence. I had an opportunity to go to school in Miami, so I took it. And not only that, I was dating someone at the time that was in Miami, so I guess I kind of went to Miami to follow a boy, but there was a silver lining that I was going to be able to go to school out there. I was studying dance. That was my major. I was doing a student exchange program, so I wasn't quite at the school yet. So I was only supposed to be there for a year, but in that year, I kind of just stumbled upon a dance team. And my friend was like, oh, you should try out. And I'm thinking it's some high school, college stuff. And I was like, okay, sure, whatever. I go and it's a real professional dance team. And I was like, oh, they're real dancers. And come to find out it was baseball, MLB. I'm not a sports person, so I didn't really know what MLB was. I'm like, okay, I guess that's baseball for players and stuff. I'm not a sports person at all. So long story short, it was the Miami Marlins. At the time, they were the Florida Marlins. So I tried out. I don't know how I made the team. That was all God, because I'm not a dancer like that. I danced for 2 seasons, and I wasn't really acting at the time. I was solely focusing on dancing because that was the opportunity that was presented to me. And the Great Recession happened. My parents couldn't afford to, pay my tuition, so I dropped out and came back to LA. And I was like, okay, great. I'm not gonna go to school because I don't wanna be in debt for a theater degree. And so I started acting classes. I did improv, did sketch improv. And once I started improv, I kind of found my groove and what I wanted to do. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's comedy. After I did that, I co-wrote and co-created a web sketch comedy show with a friend. It was called No Shade Comedy. I did a season of that, and after that moment, I was like, okay, well, this writing sketch thing seems like it's happening, but can I do TV writing? Can I transition into that? Am I good enough to do that? I was still kind of focusing on acting. I didn't want to leave that completely. And so my pastor, Prophet Lovey, shout out to Revelation Church LA, he had gave me a word and was like, you know, God is gonna help you with the writing thing. And I didn't understand at the time because I was like, well, I'm not really sure. Like, I feel like I'm gonna have to start all over. Like, I don't know anything about writing. I don't really feel like I'm talented in it. So like, how am I, like, how is this gonna happen? So I was like, okay, well, I mean, I guess if he said it, then maybe that's what I'm supposed to do. About like 2 years later, I joined a mentorship program. And well, I joined 2 mentorship programs. And from one of the programs, I was able to get staffed on a TV show. So obviously what he said did work out. But yeah, I was staffed on a TV show, did a season of that, co-wrote my first episode, and here I am now as a writer-actress. I feel like giving up every day, if I'm being honest. Every day, because it's like hard. It's a journey, like you said, and sometimes it's tough. Like, it's like, okay, well, when is the yes gonna happen? When, like, these bills, I still have to write, but these bills, I think like the biggest moment where I was just like, what am I doing? It was probably when, like, right after I wrote No Shade Comedy, I was like, okay, well, what do I do now? Like, I could write another season, but like things weren't happening at that time where we could write another season of No Shade Comedy. And like my acting career, like it was like stalling. It was super stagnant. So I was like, okay, well, what else am I supposed to do? Yeah, I think that was like the moment where I was just like, I honestly wanted to stop because I did not know what to do. I did not know what the next step was. What made me not give up is the word that I got when he told me that God would help me with my writing. Like, that's what has kept me, because if he spoke it, then I know that it's true. And if he spoke it, that means all of this stuff is just me having to persevere, my capacity being expanded, and this is my story to share to all those who are going to be in my shoes so that I can minister to them. Like, that's what I have to keep reminding myself. But if it wasn't for that word, like, I would have stopped. I would have gave up. What advice would I give to my younger self? Just be you. Be you. Like, don't try to fit in. Don't try to be like anybody else, or don't try to be what people are trying to make you to be. Really, like, focus on discovering who you are, your identity, how God made you, because literally that's what's helped me. Okay, what would my younger self say to me now? Oh my God. My younger self will probably ask about a certain relationship. I will tell her, girl, no, run for the hills. It's not gonna work out. It's not. My younger self would probably ask me, like, am I gonna be okay? Like, yes, you are absolutely gonna be okay. Like, it hurts, you're gonna go through it, but it's for a reason. So if you're going through it, don't worry, everybody's been through it, and you're gonna get through it, you're gonna persevere. To all those that are watching who are thinking about giving up, my advice to you is don't. And I say don't because if you give up, it's gonna be given to somebody else, and you don't want that. Because what is for you is for you, but if you give it up, somebody's gonna have to fulfill that mission. And if you're going through something like so difficult, then obviously there's something beautiful on the other end. The first thing that comes to mind when I hear the word determine is not giving up. The first thing that comes to mind when I hear the word relentless, I don't know, I think fighter. Like, I'm just like ready. Like, I'm whatever comes at me. I might get a little afraid, tears might well up, but then I get angry and I'm like, nah, like, I'm gonna get through this. I'm gonna fight my way through this. The first thing that comes to mind when I think of can't stop, won't stop is Chingy. Can't stop, won't stop, Rockefeller, we get down, baby, we get down. Okay, they don't know. Somebody out there knows what I'm talking about. Can't stop, won't stop, shout out to Chingy. When I think of the word unstoppable, the first thing that comes to mind is strength. It takes a lot of strength to keep going. The times when I feel weak is when I'm like, okay, I'm just stop. I'm done. I'm in my feelings. But when I'm unstoppable, I don't know, there is a strength in me that I'm like, where did this come from? Yeah, unstoppable makes me think of just strength.